Good morning. Welcome to the City of Freeport's regular council meeting for December the 9th, 2025. Please stand for invocation and pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for bringing us all together. Please guide us and direct us as we make the best decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, welcome, and we would like to recognize some special guests today. We have leadership roles in class. Thank you all for being with us. And we have the new community center waiting for you to have a meeting. Under the consent agenda, tab 1 are the bills of the City of Freeport. Tab 2 is the regular council meeting minutes for November 18th, and the fiscal year 2025 financial reports are under tab 3. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? If not, I'll ask for approval from the council. Please agree.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Councilwoman Haffner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried. Are there any additions or deletions to today's agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. All the items, all 6 items under the sewer department are going to be deleted. We'll be bringing those back in a future date.
Did you say all of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any others?
Mayor.
I have an addition to Mayor, the sewer only customer policy.
That's not looking into where it's studied, so just add that in, if you don't mind, DOT from the TPM meeting.
Any others? If not, I need a motion to approve the additions and deletions to today's agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Councilwoman Haffner. Councilwoman Haffner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried. City clerk.
Good morning, council. The sewer only customer policy, we feel like needs a little bit of tweaking with some wording. On the original, it says they must show a deep well certification. That doesn't exist. So what we need them to show is a state of Florida well completion report in place of the deep well certification, because some places need deep wells, some places don't, and they don't just have a deep well certification. Also, the only other thing that I added to that was that monthly billing would start when the sewer tap is installed on the property, which is normal policy. It just wasn't put in here.
I'll make that motion to approve changes. I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Haffner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hirsch.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
HR.
I don't see him, so I guess I'll pinch hit for the HR department. Just need an approval. We posted the library advisory board at y'all's direction. We got one name, also named Joe Roboto, works for the county, lives in Freeport, checks all the boxes. He was the only applicant we had, so looking for a motion to approve sending his name to the county.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Aye.
Councilman Farris.
Aye.
Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, we'll get that done today.
Thank you.
Mosquito control.
Good morning, Council and Mayor. So the Florida Mosquito Control Association governs mosquito controls in the state of Florida, and they have multiple meetings a year. One meeting happens in Gainesville, Florida, every year, and that's what I'm agreeing today to request to go to it. It's a week-long course, Monday to Thursday, of classes and just, mosquito control people being mosquito control people, learning from each other, sharing ideas. It's always a really good event. I've been to it a couple times before. And so I did budget for this already, budget $3,000, but today I have a little, I'm not sure exactly how much it's gonna cost, so I'm gonna ask for a limit of up to $1,900 for the total trip. And in fact, I noticed I made a mistake in my hotel stay. I'm gonna do 2 less days than I put. I, for some reason, thought it was 8 hours out, not 4 hours out. So I'm gonna drive day up and come back day up. So I need approval for up to $1,900 for the trip.
I'll make that motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Aye.
Councilman Farris.
Aye.
And Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
I also need to ask for preference for traffic. I'm fine using my own vehicle, but I understand I need to ask permission for
How does everybody else know? That's fine.
This-
That's a mileage reimbursement? I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Aye.
Councilman Farris.
Aye.
And Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
So I have thank you.
Thank you.
Parks.
Good morning, Council Mayor. Good morning. So I have 2 budget items that we budgeted for, looking to purchase for approval. Let's see, the first one is going to be the shades for fields 4 and 5. So this company did the shades for us on fields 1, 2, and 3, and they're looking to do 4 and 5 for us. So we budgeted for $70,000 for the shades, but they quoted us for $60,480.
Okay.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Aye.
Councilman Farris.
Aye.
And Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And then the last one that we budgeted for is the spider netting for the sports complex. That spider netting's been there since the park was built, so you know the wear and tear on it. It's from Game Time, it's with our Omni partners. We budgeted for $60,000 and they gave us a price for $35,800 or $35,088.68.
I'll make a motion to approve the new netting.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Aye.
Councilman Farris.
Aye.
And Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Planning.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. I'm glad to see you this morning. First item I have is a land development code revisions, which includes updates to comply with Senate Bill 180. This is under tab 8 in your book. We did take this before the Development Review Board, and their recommendation was for approval. The main points of the revision is to recognize the Senate Bill 180 changes in platting. The plats are no longer reviewed by the city council, but actually signed by the city manager, and that's in line with legislative changes. The other thing that's changed is citizen boards. Based on recent action from the city council, we have deleted the recreational committee that was in charge of new grant proposals to the Freeport Regional Sports Complex. As the sports complex is built out, we do not have the need to maintain that board. Also, part of Senate Bill 80 and other legislation, we have provided a definition and purpose and general requirements for ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units. There's specific language in the statute on how accessory dwelling units are put into place and how they are, in compliance with statutory language. We also added certified recovery residences, which is a statutory requirement, what they are, how they're maintained, how they're approved, and how they're inspected ongoing. That is also included. Also, we added a requirement which we are proposing with the water department, that generally, and we added a little section of that, it's on page 9 of the ordinance, where water meters shall be located at or near the customer's curb or property line, and then when it's impractical, the utility, which is us, can locate it in any reasonably convenient or accessible area that's agreed upon. But no water meter or sewer service shall be installed or placed more than 5 feet in the private property line without a written easement agreement, which is consistent with what we do when we're dealing with residential units, particularly if lines end up under a driveway or some other kind of structure that makes it difficult for us to maintain access. We have to have an written easement agreement with that private property owner so that we're held harmless. In the event we have to maintain their water and sewer, and they built something on top of it, we're not going to be responsible for putting that back, because obviously I was put in the wrong place. And that's the basic outline of what's included in tab 8. What we're asking for is to hold the first reading of the proposed ordinance and instruct staff to advertise for a second reading at the upcoming meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment? Councilwoman Heffernan.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
In ordinance amending the Freeport Land Development Code, Article 2, Article 3, and Article 5, providing for authority and purpose, conflict, severability, and effective date. If you look at tab 9 of your meeting packet, we are updating our code enforcement ordinance and as an appendix to the Land Development Code. We're doing this for our code compliance process to add a magistrate to what we do instead of a code enforcement. It basically takes the politics out of what happens to code violations and provides a structured, level across all playing fields ordinances. We actually, this ordinance was developed in conjunction with and primarily by legal. It doesn't make the code compliance process more arduous. It actually provide for longer time frames to come to compliance than they do by statute. We actually give them a lot of grace period and a lot of time to come into compliance, but it does provide a magistrate to act on that 1% of the time when someone refuses to come to compliance. We can establish hearings and use a standard process that's recognized everywhere in the state. That's the way to handle these things. This was reviewed by the planning board and they recommended approval. And we're asking to hold first reading of the proposed ordinance and instruct staff to advertise for second reading.
Like that. Motion.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Public comment? Councilwoman Heffernan.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst.
Aye.
Councilman Farrell.
Aye.
Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on to tab 10, as you know, we had a little hiccup in our process for the governmental complex lighting plan. And upon direction from administration, I developed an RFP for lighting, which actually, and it's actually included in your packet, the RFP that we used for this lighting project. And we received one proposal which met the requirements of the RFP. It was from Impact Lightscapes and Outdoor Audio LLC. The plan that we received, and I did send you all a week ago the entire packet as a read ahead, so you have time to look at it, think about it, contact me if you have any questions. I didn't get any calls from any of you, so hopefully what I gave you was easy to read and understand. But on this cover page for the lighting plan, I've given you the proposal cost and summary. Phase 1 would be lighting of the Veterans Memorial, Casey Park, and the Barrier Free Park for a total of $83,750. The Phase 2 would be the decorative lighting for City Hall, which is $61,350. And then Phase 3 was the Community Center and City Pool area. And that had a cost of $58,600. The total cost of all phases together was $203,700. And I am requesting that you discuss this proposal and to provide me with direction of how you want to move forward.
Councilwoman Hafner.
Matilda, I saw we didn't put this in the budget, so
That's correct. It was, the lighting was not in the budget. It would require literally a budget amendment through the finance department to delegate funds to go to this project. I don't know if you want to
I wonder if we should like phase it out and not do it all
approve
at
it by
one time.
phases, if you want to award the first phase and then move forward with additional phases after we're done with that. It's entirely up to you because this is not
I
something.
think the
that-
phasing is a good
Yeah,
idea.
let's do that.
Yeah.
I think it's started with the Veterans Memorial.
Yes, that's
That's
correct.
fine, that's fine.
Well, it's the Veterans Memorial,
And-
right within Casey Park and the Barrier Free Park, which in the Barrier Free Park includes a directional uplighting of the Deputy Mays Memorial.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to, he's gonna bring back a budget amendment, right? For us
Correct.
to approve it. Okay, so bring back the amendment for phase 1, $83,750.
I second that.
A motion been made and seconded. Further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurst.
Aye.
Councilman Farris.
Aye.
And Councilman Dickey.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
The next item before you is the Fidelity Trust Small Scale Limited Rezoning, and Ms. Samantha Grace is going to present.
Good morning, Mayor, Council.
Good morning.
The first item that I have for you this morning is a large-scale amendment and rezoning request for the Fidelity development. It's actually, I say development, we don't have a development application on it at this time, but they are requesting to change their future land use from low-density residential to mixed use. They are wanting to do this for future commercial use, and the zoning that they're going to be requesting the change would be from low-density residential to general commercial. This property, just to give you a visual of where it's located, you in the past year approved a development on 331 called the Highway 331 retail, which is just south of where 331 Noodle is, that plaza. This is directly to the east of it. It lets it on the back side. On Old Jolly Bay Road. It's a 2.66 acre parcel, excuse me, I'm sorry. And Cliff Mauer is here for this, he is here for questions. Once we've answered the questions, what we will be looking for if you wish to move forward with this would be to request the first reading of first the ordinance for the future land use change, and second an ordinance for the zoning change. Do you have any questions for me, or would you like me to,
Before we proceed with questions and before we proceed with testimony, I will need to swear anyone wishing to speak on this small-scale amendment in. Anyone wishing to speak on this specific agenda item needs to be sworn at this time. Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do hereby swear or affirm the testimony I present will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Turns out, I don't have as much concern about that as I thought, but anyway, we can let Mr. Nauer speak. But this is first reading.
Good morning, Council. Good to see everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Just wanted to kind of show you kind of a site plan of what we intend to do. If you guys have seen the little commerce park at Old Jolly Bay, kind of by Ramsey Road, where the pizza place is and that kind of stuff. Kind of the thought process behind this is that a lot of these buildings could be used for like an electrician that wanted to set up a place to store his materials, or a mechanical guy or something like that would be able to have a place to be able to put their stuff and basically work out of. So the parking that we set up for this layout right here is for commerce parks, which is a lot more parking than what's required for just warehouse. And so we've got more parking than what we were required. I've already designed the stormwater, and we discharge substantially less after this is developed than what it discharges before it's developed. And we do have commercial on a number of sides. We have commercial abutting it here, we have commercial abutting it here, we have commercial abutting it here, and we have commercial abutting it here. And so this is the only piece that's in the city, except for like 3 lots to the north and a few lots to the south. And so this parcel is in the city, across the street is in the county, and I think there's 2 lots or 3 lots before you get to the new oil change place that they just built. And so this parcel is about 950 feet south of the intersection of 331 and Old Jolly Bay Road.
Where's the residential piece?
Yep, so this is a single family residential here.
Okay.
And then these 3 right here are single family residential. And they front on, I think it's called Moonwalk Road, I believe it is, down here to the south. We have proposed to put up fencing, and of course we're gonna have buffers as well. And so,
Yeah, I have a question about that.
Yes, go ahead.
I saw this note that says, in the event of future development, special care will need to be taken place to do the buffer. So that's very broad.
right,
You know, I don't know what special care is defined as, but you're saying you're gonna do a fence,
yes ma'am,
buffering,
fence and
that
buffer.
the residents are okay with, like they support that, and y'all had any talked with them or anything?
So, we have tried to reach out to this gentleman here, and
Okay.
have not been able to get a hold of him.
Okay, that's
we-
fair.
We've sent out notices to,
Sure.
I think, about 30 people,
Okay.
certified letters to about 30 people.
Okay,
And I received 1 phone call
Okay.
From an adjacent landowner, but they were on the other side of
Oh,
Moonwalk, and so
sure.
they weren't concerned about it. But,
sure. Okay, I was just double checking.
and then I was just going to mention one other thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to mention one other thing. We've got to add about 900 feet of sewer line down Old Jolly Bay Road for us to have sewer, which will open up sewer for about 20 homes.
Okay,
They're on that stretch.
That's
And
good.
so there's about 20 individual houses that would be able to have access to sewer after we get tied in at Mallard Creek is where we would tie in.
Mayor Barley, we received 1 letter in conjunction with this from an adjacent property owner, Shishler LLC, in support of the application.
okay.
They're one of the adjacent property owners as well.
I make a motion for the future land use change.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilman Hampton.
Aye.
Councilman Hurst.
Aye.
Councilman Carroll.
Aye.
Councilman Dickens. Motion carried.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You also do first reading for that, and then you'll have the time for second reading. First reading for the future land use change says an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan of the city of Freeport, specifically the future land use map, specifically the parcel identified with property reference number 23-1S-192300000010035, containing approximately 2.66 acres more or less from city future land use designation of LDR, low density residential, to the city's mixed use and future land use designation. Do I have a motion for the zoning change?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
For second reading? Correct.
First reading.
The first reading is the zoning
Sam,
change.
we already did.
No, we did not.
Any further discussion? Public comment? Councilwoman Hefner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd?
Aye.
Councilman Farris?
Aye.
Councilman Dickey?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. An ordinance amending the zoning map series included by reference in Article 3 of the Land Development Code of the City of Freeport, specifically the parcel identified with the property reference number 231S-192300000010035, containing approximately 2.66 acres more or less, and described by the legal description contained in section 1 below, amending the zoning assignment from low-density residential to general commercial. The next item that we have on the agenda for you is a mixed-use PDP called Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake, you've got that in your book, is a single-family development that's also going to contain townhomes, multifamily, and 90,000 square feet of commercial. And excuse me, it's a mixed-use project. It's located on Black Creek Boulevard, just about a mile and a half south of Highway 20. It contains 165.33 acres. It is in the future land use of commercial, and it's zoned general commercial. I have a summary that details out the variances requested. And Dean Burgess is the engineer for this project. If you decide to move forward after we answer questions, then I'll be looking for a motion for a resolution for this meeting. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, there you go.
Good morning, members of the council. Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates. I'm the engineer of record and representative for the applicant of this PDP. A little bit of history on the property. You all may recognize this as the old county dirt pit on 3280. Years ago, that probably goes back to the 70s or even earlier than that. County used it for public works, for their road paving needs and dirt needs that Walton County had. And it operated as a dirt pit up until 2002 when the Huffs, Chandler and Brandon Huff, purchased it. They entered into a settlement agreement with the county regarding the ability to continue using it as a dirt pit. As you could imagine, proper zoning for a dirt pit would have been industrial, and industrial uses would have continued on that. The Huffs agreed to downzone it at the time that they stopped excavating sand and using it for a sand pit for a residential or a lesser use than industrial. So in 2007, we applied for a development order for Hollow Lake development. Some may be familiar with that. That was an RV park that was plus or minus 300 RV sites. Received a development order for it, and of course the crash hit. Did not get built. Then in 2022, the property was rezoned with the county under business park, which is a mixed-use zoning, and does not have a cap on density, allows for fairly intense commercial uses, etc. It does require a mixture of uses on the property. In 2023, the owners decided to annex it into the city, in part because they were in discussions about a water tower site on the property, and decided it's probably better to bring it into the city of Freeport, have the discussions on that. And actually, that's one of our public benefits in the PDC, is a site has been designated on the property in the southwest corner for the city to build a water tower. It was annexed into the city in 2023, and now we're coming in as general commercial, as Sam had said. And we're now coming in with the project that's before you. It consists of 242 single-family units and 158 townhomes for a total of 400 units. The site plan you may have in your packets, but this is a larger view of it. This is the central feature, is the old dirt pit, which is a pond. And that will be kind of a central amenity for the development. If you haven't seen it or been out there, it's crystal clear. It's actually very attractive. And they will use it for some passive recreation, kayaking, fishing, and so forth. The single-family homes are shown here. This will be phase one, and up in this northern area. Multifamily will be down here, and the commercial portion of the property will be here with the water well facility here, or water tower facility down in this corner here, as I had said. The overall density of the project amounts to 3.62 units per acre, because it is over 165 acres of property. The deviations are outlined. If you had any questions on any of those particular deviations, I'd be happy to explain them. In general, all the deviations apply internally to the project. In other words, around perimeters of projects do not seek deviations, with the exception if there is an easement on the perimeter of the property, which we do have for Alabama Power. We do not include that easement in the lots for good reason, so people don't get confused and go put a shed or something in the easement. We recognize that easement and then have the lot stops at the easement, and we have a reduced setback from that easement. Just avoids placing the easement in the lots and keeps it cleaner, in our opinion. Any questions from the board? I'd be happy to answer them.
Councilwoman Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm trying to follow the entrance and exits to that. Can you show me where they are? Sorry, I think there's two. Is that right?
Yes, if I can approach.
Yes, please.
Right.
I was trying to look on my printout, but it was hard to see. Okay.
The property goes through this little
Okay.
corner here, is Black Creek Boulevard,
Mhm.
and the intersection is out this way. So
Right.
we have main access is here off 32.
Okay,
And what we're calling secondary access
sure.
is here on the Black Creek.
So the people from the townhome have to go all the way around, or I guess they can go right up there. There's not an exit for them out the back.
Townhomes are here.
Oh, okay.
These
was
are
the
single
front.
family
I'm
homes
sorry.
up in this
Okay, so
corner.
there's a townhome at the front.
And
Okay.
again, the main entrance is here,
Sure.
and you have the option to go right into the townhomes.
Perfect, or go out that way. Okay, thanks, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Under the land development code, for developments that have more than 150 units, they have to have at least two accesses in and out of the property for public safety.
For sure, that's why I was just double checking where they were. I was just following that.
Any motions or
You need a motion to approve?
Yes.
Well, I'll make that motion.
Second,
There's
sorry.
motion to be seconded. Any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd.
Aye.
Councilman Barrett.
Aye.
Councilman Dickey. Aye. Motion carried.
All right, I have one more for you this morning. remember, you let me take this off so you can hear me. Last year, we heard that the ownership of Owl's Head on the east side of 331 had been divided, and they had a PDP of Owl's Head North. This is the second half of that. They are now formalizing the request for the southern portion to be known as Owl's Head South. They've requested a revision to the PDP with the remaining entitlements for that, and they've made a few revisions. I've outlined that for you in my summary. I know there was a lot there, and I don't want to force you to listen to it again, but I can go over any of it that you would like. Mr. Jim Martelli is here to answer any specific technical questions that you may have as the engineer. And if you so decide to move forward with this, then we would be looking for a new resolution to replace the former resolution for this amendment. Do you have any questions for me?
I do, Mayor.
Yeah, don't have to.
Thank you, Mayor. How come our max residential units has doubled versus the entitlements are requested?
They are redoing what they're asking for at this point. So this is their opportunity to do that. I have looked through comparing the old north plus south, and the original entitlement, the residential units will be an increase of 1,352 of the two combined PDPs.
Yeah, I mean,
The office square footage is reducing by 40,000 square feet. They have added a warehouse, just to give you the changes of the overall, because I know that's hard. They've added a warehouse portion. They increased the convention center size and added a golf course, and they are increasing the commercial square footage. The residential units, though, will still not go over what the allowed densities are.
Warehouse is scratched off to 0, but you're saying they're gonna have a warehouse in there? It's.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was a revision. I did not catch that in my
It's okay.
total. You are right. So warehouse was not added.
They added this convention center piece, that's gone up to 50,000.
Yes, and they increased the number of hotel rooms. Again, they are not increasing though over what the allowed density is.
Do we have, thank you, do we have the schematic from the previous layout so that we can see the difference on the residential units? I know, I wanted to see like something where they're at.
I did not bring the original.
Could you describe that for us?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll let you.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Jim Martelli with Interlight. And I want to thank you very much for having us here today. Thank you for the questions. We're really blessed and excited to be here. I wanted to first thank Latilda and Samantha. They've helped us get to the point that we are today, and we really appreciate their efforts. I've been associated with Owl's Head along with Mr. Doug Duncan, who's here today. He's the owner. Specifically for Owl's Head Residential LLC, he's the single owner managing partner of that entity. And he's been associated with Owl's Head for over 20 years as well. So as you may have noticed, in Owl's Head, it's a thriving community. The thing that I'm so appreciative to work with Doug on is
he doesn't maximize and jam in as many lots as he can. We have curvilinear streets and we have tremendous amenities, things like that. But I would like to just, if it'd be okay here, talk about the extra residential units. This is the master plan. Grab this real quick. So this is the master plan. And one of the things I wanted to point out is one of the things this PDP allows us to do is cluster our development. And this outer boundary line here was the original PDP, it's called the Outset PDP, that was approved, I think it was back in 2006, and then it was amended in 2009. And so, as Ms. Samantha mentioned, we were here about a year or so ago when we carved out, because it was under a different ownership group, we carved out the north side of Owl's Head just to designate it as an Owl's Head North, and it's a slightly different development program, mostly residential with a little bit of warehouse on the north side. The south side that you see in this rendered area, one of our requests this morning is to redesignate that to just call it Owl's Head South PDP. That's just a simple clarification for the future review for planning staff and to make it a simpler review when it goes to technical review committee. One of the things I'd like to point out here is about 10 acres or so right here in the middle of the site, and what it is, it's a golf course. It's a 9-hole executive golf course that is actually developable property. We could put about 50 units in there. And so Mr. Duncan has agreed to building a 9-hole executive golf course, not just for the neighborhood to add that recreation component, but also for the community to be open to the public. So we're very, very excited about that part of it. And one of the other things that we've heard from the community, and I believe we've heard from this council over the past couple of years, is the need to increase the commercial use. We're right here on the 331 corridor. It's a prime location to be able to support the residential community at large. Not only Owl's Head, but the surrounding residential community. It is a gateway. It's a northern gateway to the city of Freeport. Mr. Duncan, with this master plan, has tried to present something that the city would be proud of and that will stand the test of time. And normally, developments stand the test of time with developing great amenities and developing a sense of place and generating a place that people would like to be. So a big component of the second thing we're asking for is an amendment to the development program. As Ms. Samantha mentioned, we are asking for an increase to commercial to be able to accomplish that goal of providing that mix of uses for the residents in the area. And we are also asking for an increase in residential units. We don't actually think we're going to get that high. But if you look at this master plan here, you can see it's curvilinear. And what you see is the ability to get the amount of units in here. And if you just simply look at this, it's not a dense neighborhood at all. We are clustering a little bit, but once again, that allows us to do a golf course, in essence. So, and then the third thing, if I may, that we are asking to get with this approval today is an inclusion of the existing development code. There's an existing development code that is part of Owl's Head PDP, and there's an existing set of variances and deviations. But as Ms. Latilda might note, it is a very complicated and complex document. So one of the things we wanted to be able to provide, particularly for the technical review committee and the planning staff in the future, to bring clarity to sort of what's allowed and what isn't allowed, we wanted to also introduce a development code addendum. And that's what these drawings represent. I'm going to just go through these real quick. If you'd be kind enough to let me. The second sheet, first sheet is the master plan. The second sheet is a palette of potential lot schematics and lot layouts. And this just develops sort of our vision for what may be in the neighborhood, establishes setbacks and building footprint placements and things like that. The next sheet is relatively simple as well. It's a palette of typical sections, roadway sections and right-of-way sections that we envision to be included in the neighborhood. We'll also have other sections that meet the development code, but these are some special sections that we just wanted to present and have in a really clear, concise document, once again, for the planning staff when it comes time for review of the projects. So our next sheet here, this is a pretty simple one as well. With any PDP zoning that's introduced, we do have existing zoning that follow what's called the transect zoning techniques in this neighborhood. So those are the T zonings that you'll see on the map here. And T4 is a medium to high density residential. It also allows for some neighborhood commercial in T4, which there's a main boulevard here, that you may have noticed, and Owlshead Farms across the street, that will ultimately be a signalized intersection. We are reserving a little bit of land over here for commercial as well as a possible commercial component. And then you see the T5, that's more general commercial, and that's along 331. And the T1 zones are the environmental areas of the site, which are wetlands and wetland buffers. The next sheet, as Samantha mentioned earlier, this is just to memorialize what the zoning is, what the city zoning is on the property, and to be able to memorialize that for the future as a snapshot in time. And we've associated also, or included also, some areas that are associated with those city zoning designations. The next sheet here is something that we're bringing in from the existing PDP. Once again, the original design code was a little complicated, so we have provided a table off to the left there, a comprehensive table of what the allowable impervious area ratios and open space ratios are for the development. And once again, we've done this for the purpose of just simplifying the review and making it an objective review when the time comes for the planning staff and the technical review committee. I won't talk too much about the next sheet, but we thought it would be a great idea just to do a running total. And that's a snapshot in time to date of sort of where we stand with the open space and things like that. We thought it would just be a great thing to include in the addendum for the planning staff. The next sheet real quick is just, once again, the transect zoning designations along with the allowable uses, a table of allowable uses to be included in the design code addendum here. And last but not least, this is just a summary table of the variances and deviations. As we all know, the PDPs, they do allow for deviations and variances to be able to cluster development and to be able to provide recreation opportunities and just make a great neighborhood. And so this is a summary of our deviations. There's really not a particular major deviation. This is several small minor deviations that all combine into something that we can use to create a great neighborhood from. So if you have any questions on those, I would be glad to help answer those. Once again, on the residential increase, the existing zoning designation, if my memory serves me, allows almost 2,700 residential units. We are asking for 2,400. Most likely we'll never reach that mark, but just wanted to point that out. And that is a mechanism that is important to us to be able to support that additional commercial use, which we all know is a very important component to this area of Freeport. But once again, Jim Martelli, we are asking for 3 specific approvals. One is the redesignation, Owlshead South PDP, the amended development program, and the inclusion of the design code and the design code addendum. And thank you very much for your time. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I just have a couple of comments. So the there's 15, variance requests in here. That concerns me. And then like this number B, a 25 foot, this is tiny. Like you're telling me you're not cramming them in, but my gosh, like that's so, like this is gonna be crammed in, pushed together, and I don't like that. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Just because you can have more doesn't mean that you should have more, right? So I have a real, I'm having a real hard time with how teeny tiny these little A, B, C, D things are you gave us, and then these 15 variance requests that you're asking. I mean, it's just, you're telling me you're not cramming them, but this looks like you are.
Well, thank you. That's a very good question, Councilmember. And what we're doing there is we're just providing options. There certainly won't be a lot of that type of product. From a percentage standpoint, it'll be very minor, and I understand that that particular sheet doesn't describe that. On our master plan, though, that you've seen, we are not showing that many small lots. There's only a couple in percentages, only maybe a couple of percent. And that is just to provide different products and different styles throughout the neighborhood. Most likely, what we'll find, like we found in Owlshead Farms across the street, we'll have 50s to 60s. Most likely is what we'll end up having in the neighborhood. But we certainly, and I would also like to point out as well, some of those are already approved as part of the existing PDP. That was one of the reasons that we are showing them, because they were included. We've had some very small lots in the previous version of the PDP because it was a DPZ urbanist layout. And so that is one of the reasons that's in there as well.
Thank you. I'd like to digress just back to the original. I'd like for us to discuss what the original amount of the residential units were and where those locations were. I understand you're saying that you're not changing the density, but explain to us, if we're not changing the density, were those going to be open space? What was the thought at that point? And then, I'm looking at these lot sizes and you're saying that some of those were included. Show us specifically what has changed when the numbers have gone up from 1186 to 2400 in residential. Please.
Yes, if you.
Yeah.
Just, hey, Jim, as a follow-up, maybe if you can break it down a little further. So Longleaf is now showing 620. What was that area to start with? And phase 3 is now 1480. So what was it? Obviously, the increase has to be in one of those two areas, I would think.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. This Longleaf development here, half of that is under construction. We are calling that phase 2A, 2B, and 2C. And those, once again, those had 50-foot lots as well as 60-foot lots. And we did have a small townhome component here, which were 20-foot wide lots as well on that, which is allowed currently in the PDP. But the remaining density, if I could back up, the original PDP was for this entire boundary here. That was the Owlshead PDP. There was a certain amount of density units that were split between Owlshead North and Owlshead South. And so those, the distribution of those residential units were really distributed throughout the entire limits of the PDP. It wasn't necessarily concentrated in one area or the other. We are asking for an increase in density with this application. So the request is to increase in density, but it's less than the current zoning density allows. Thanks.
So you're just moving the numbers around to different places in the layout, which
yes, sir. It is certainly a different layout than was originally contemplated.
So what was phase 3 to start with?
Phase 3? It was about the same amount of units in phase 3 because as you can see here, the layout that you see here are a mix of 60s, 50s, 40s, and 30s. And
so where's all this additional capacity for numbers.
We just kind of need to see where the addition is going, you know? If we could just kind of very basically just express to us where these additional homes are located versus the old PDP.
Golf course is part of that originally.
Yes, sir, thank you for letting me know that. So we originally we had an 18-hole, par 5, big golf course. And I'm sorry, I forgot about that, but that was scattered throughout the property.
Okay.
And so that's where the residential density is going.
But the PDP allows for the shell
Yes.
game.
And just to give you some general planning information, our plan development process is comparable to the PUD process that the county has. Owl's Head, the very first meetings I had when I came here over 20 years ago were with the Owl's Head community. And Mr. Duncan has kept that development going through the recession, through every change of the market, and based on current market conditions and his ability to read what future uses are going to need to be in terms of his target markets, he's moved things around. But to his credit, while the Transect design code is so detailed, it makes my eyes twitch, it just does. It's very, very detailed. And the way they've designed this is consistent with other quality developments like Rosemary Beach, Alice Beach, and Sandestin, because they create an overall code, they establish an overall maximum density, and then they utilize that in phases. And in any of those plans, they never get to the very top number, because the way you design, you have to count the stormwater, you have to count the roadways, you have to do utility easements, you have to do a variety of things in these developments. So this is just to ensure, under their existing plan, as a new Owl's Head South, that they have the density to do what they want. And that providing that transit plan, even though it's extremely complicated, it is something that is done with high quality developments. They're providing amenities, they're providing options for the traveling public, they're providing community options, doing a convention center, a community center in that area is going to be a great amenity, not only for this development, but as a facility that can be used for large conventions, for training. Very much like right now, the only place that you can do a really large convention or conference is in Sandestin, on the north side of 98.
Yeah.
By having a convention center here, you're going to see opportunities to get that ancillary income. The city will, through all its restaurants and new hotel, to utilize the conference center for training, for events, for the Chamber of Commerce, for TDC, and having a space that's actually going to be comparable and be able to be used throughout this region. And you can only do that in high quality developments where you're actually spending those additional funds to do the extra things that are called high quality developments. And that's not to tell you whether or not you should be for or against. I'm just providing an explanation of why they have such a detailed code and why they have increased the amount of commercial and the amenities that they're going to provide. I'm glad that the hotel allotment is going to go up, because hotels are one of those things we really need in addition to medical facilities. And I'm glad they're going to provide more commercial rather than less, because that's where the businesses come to serve the residents that are here. Mr. Ray, we've had this conversation many times about when are we going to have enough rooftops to attract those businesses that are next tier, beyond what we have right now, which is kind of a low to moderate tier. How do we attract those national businesses and those opportunities for the city? And you have to provide a development that has those very high quality homes in order to be able to attract that next tier development.
Mark? Yeah, just one easy question. Was the multifamily 300 down here in the corner, question one, does that, I don't see an entry exit, does that go straight out in 331, and was that in there before, or is that 300 new? units.
Yes, sir, that connection is to 331. Multifamily was allowed, and that is actually under construction, that particular development.
It's the exchange,
Yes, sir. Yes,
it's
sir.
the exchange of assets.
They're also going to do, though, if I may speak, to access roads, which will alleviate some of the.
There is a secondary access. We do have planned, actually, in the technical review currently, a service road that sort of parallels the commercial on the east side, all the way from the multifamily, all the way up to the main boulevard at 331. And also, once again, as Owl said, Farmers Boulevard will also be a signal in the future as well. So to try to not generate all that traffic on the 331 is committed to just a dedicated service road going behind the commercial units there. It will also serve as a secondary access for the apartments.
Yeah, I don't think the commercial is the issue. I think the residential.
The residential.
Yeah, I have a question. So you made mention that you may not build all of this, but you're asking for it, right? So couldn't you just bring us back what you're actually gonna do? Because like, what if you don't build 500 of these or whatever, and then that would help me feel, I guess, a little bit better? I mean, what are you really planning on doing with it?
Well, I'm not suggesting we wouldn't ultimately build that, it's just unlikely. Just with, like you mentioned, it's gonna be market driven.
Sure.
Based on the residential units, and they're most likely what we found in the market so far is people like 50s and 60s. That's what they tend to like, and so it's gonna be
For
market.
sure.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to provide a little bit of flexibility. We'd probably be willing to go down a little bit today, if that's even possible. You know,
It's a big jump.
It's a jump, and if you're not gonna do it, I'd rather see what's more realistic of kind of clean it up and see what you actually wanna do, because we have to field all the complaints of everybody from congested neighborhoods, can't get out of here, can't get out of there. You know, we are the ones taking those calls and complaints constantly. So if we sit here and approve this, even though it's allowed to be done, that's hard to explain to a, one of our constituents who doesn't necessarily understand that process. So at least if we can share, you worked with us, we worked with you to kind of, you know, have a balance here, that helps our case, because I know we all get calls, you can't get out of Publix, can't get out of here, can't get out of there. It's so congested, we all hear that. So I guess I'm just trying to mitigate, and just because, like I said, you can, doesn't mean you should, but I know that you have to make certain amount, I know there's a lot of money involved here as well for a developer, but I just want to have a little bit of balance of, if you're not really going to build everything, I'd rather see a more accurate of what you're actually going to do. And I'm glad you talked about the bigger lots, because this like 25-foot lot is just, I don't even know what size house you build on that. It's so
well, that's a
small.
really interesting new product. For instance, there's a lot of demand for townhouses, and we.
So that's a townhouse lot, that's not.
Not necessarily a townhouse lot, it's just,
Okay.
it's just a unique,
I'm like,
it's a
Townhouse
unique
size,
it's a unique variation on that. Someone that wants to have a standalone, separate structure, they may not want to be attached to the
Sure.
neighbor.
It's like a shotgun house.
Mhm.
right, I know, and I just, I don't know, okay.
And you can really actually do some really beautiful things with those type of houses. I mean, if you see, you know, seaside and things like that, it's sort of a concept there.
Right.
You have a really, really cool looking cottage. But that may just be a 1 or 2 bedroom, you know, for
Yeah,
someone.
for sure. I just worry about how close they are and cramping, like, I'm just thinking about like quality of life and like how close you are lot size. I guess that's kind of where my mind was going.
And we were very conscientious, going back to your point of traffic out into 331.
Sure.
That was a really big
Understand.
item. In fact, in our development, there'll be 2 signals. There'll be 2
That's good.
opportunities
That's great,
for
though.
signals here, and then the service road. So the thought would be, don't deliver everybody up to 331, just they go up the road half a mile and go right back in. So-
Sure, sure.
And it's a pretty high cost to obviously develop service roads,
Yeah.
even roads that don't necessarily have lots to offset that cost. So, you know, that is one thing that's incorporated into this. And once again, it was just for flexibility on the number of units. We had to pick a number, and like I said, it's almost 2,700 units that we could have, obviously just by zoning.
Right, I understand.
So we did feel like we tried to go under that to be realistic
Yeah,
from
and I
a
appreciate that.
flexibility standpoint.
Well, the increase in the commercial, I'm excited about, and I love the idea of the increase in size of the convention center.
Yeah, that's me too.
That's awesome. My hesitation is like Councilwoman Hafner with the increase and over double of an increase. And I do understand the needs, to have it on the books, what the vision is for development purposes and fix the whole lot. I mean, I understand the need of it.
Jim, is there a number that you and Doug could say instead of 2,400? Is there any give and take to that?
We have done a layout that was mostly 50s and 60s and a couple of 40s in there. And that number was right around a little over 2,000. So I don't know if Mr. Duncan would be willing to make it 2,100. There's a little bit of room there.
I like the number a lot better, but of course, I mean, that's, you've got a vision for where.
That has to be a confirmation from a board, but I think that would work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a revision?
No, the council, if they choose to approve the resolution, it will be subject to the reduction of density from 2,400 to 2,100.
Correct.
Okay. I think I can go with, I can go
Well,
with that.
you need
Thank
that in
you
the
for
form of
working
a-
with us.
And we really do appreciate you working with us.
Oh, yes,
And we, we're really excited about the project and want to make it happen, but,
Yes.
as we were saying, it's a balancing act of making everybody happy
And we can only do this once, and we want to
Right.
develop all this property right,
Right.
in a good way. So I'm okay with that too. So what does our motion need to say? Glenn?
Motion would be to approve with the developer agreed concession of reduction of 2,400 to 2,100.
Okay, so moved.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd?
Aye.
Councilman Ferris? Aye. Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2025-22. You want to do it? Do you want me Last one, I promise. We have before you this morning a resolution for local mitigation strategies. This is a standard thing that we have to update every now and again, and it speaks to the intergovernmental coordination between Walton County, City of Freeport, City of PA Springs, City of Paxton. Mr. Joe Goldberg is here this morning to talk to you about the program, but the upshot is that staff is going to request that you adopt Resolution 25-21, local mitigation strategy at the end. But Joe's going to update you on why this is important. You're welcome, Joe.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be here. A little bit of background. Every 5 years, under FEMA regulations and Florida statute, we have to update the county's local mitigation strategy. Now, municipalities, special taxing districts, they have one of two roads they can go down. They can either develop their own, or they can adopt the counties. Obviously, the easier way to do it is adopt the counties, but we have a unified local mitigation strategy, which means our hazard vulnerability analysis, all of our mitigation processes and projects and everything is looking at special taxing districts, municipalities, as well as throughout the county. So by adopting this, this local mitigation strategy, it does a couple of things. One thing it does is it helps provide for FEMA reimbursement during disaster. That's one of the things that they ask about. The other is it gives you the opportunity through the local mitigation strategy working group to apply for mitigation funding, whether it's pre-disaster mitigation funding or hazard mitigation grant program, which is post-disaster. So when we have a disaster, we get a certain percentage that that FEMA will give us. Now, we're still kind of seeing what's happening with the FEMA Review Council and what that's going to look like, but right now we're operating under the assumption that nothing's going to change. So what we are asking is that you go ahead and adopt the local mitigation strategy.
I will make that motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Haffner?
Aye.
Councilman Hurd?
Aye.
Councilman Farris?
Aye.
And Councilman Day?
Aye.
Motion carried.
If you'll indulge me for a couple more moments. In this year's budget for emergency management, we were able to increase our staff by one. We have a planning coordinator that is going to be responsible for recovery and mitigation, and he's going to be taking over the local mitigation strategy working group. Wanye Goodgame. Some people might remember him. He worked for us before as a logistics coordinator, went up to Alabama to work in emergency management and realized that he wanted to be back here. So he applied for the position, and he's been on the job for approximately 2 weeks. So he'll be working very closely with Latilda and her staff on all that. Senate Bill 180, there are some emergency management pieces to that affect the municipalities. We're working with Mr. Martin and the planning department on compliance for some of those. One of those is comprehensive emergency management plans for the municipalities, which you guys already have. And I remember working with Councilman Ferris on that, Mr. McCormick, and whatnot. State is coming up with a template. That template is currently sitting on the governor's desk for approval. Once that comes down, my department's going to work with all the municipalities in making sure that we've got a 180 compliant CEMP for the municipalities, as well as trainings and things like that. Is there any questions that I can answer?
I have one question.
Sure.
On page 8, it gives the demographics. Did the state input those numbers like the cities? Like it says city of Paxton is 9,800.
Yeah, those demographics, Donna Free was the developer of the program, of the documents. Believe what she did is she went on census.gov, the state, and she tried to reconcile a lot of those. There were even some discrepancies as far as square miles of this county, depending upon where you look. So we kind of averaged some of that to come up with that. But this document, just like with any plan, is a living document. So throughout the time, we may be making small updates. Adoption is not necessarily after that, but we do make some updates throughout the 5 years. The one thing that is great about this document, it gives a 5-year history of disasters in this county, and we keep all of the other plans as archives, so we have approximately a 25 or 30-year history of disasters in Walton County. And last year, we added snowstorms.
And none of you have to remember, the Paxton information is definitely not correct. It's not like 824 total persons in that community, but you have to remember, even though we have a much better idea of how many people actually live in the city and live out within the area we call our service area, we know. It's always, these things are always based on census data, which is always way behind. Way behind. So don't get too fussed up about those numbers. They have nothing to do with reality on the ground today.
And as far as this document is concerned, the main part of this document is our methodology, our history, and then the project priority list, which we're in the process of redoing again. So we'll look at what additional projects the city of Freeport wants to put in on it. And like I said, Wanye is going to be leading that effort and working with the group on all of that. Any other questions? Awesome. All right, thank you. Thanks.
We need a motion to approve the LMS resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? Public comment? Councilwoman Haffner?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hurd?
Aye.
Councilman Ferris?
Aye.
And Councilman Day?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And Rebecca just reminded me that the corrected number of this resolution is going to be 2025-23. Just for the record. That's all we have in planning today.
Thank you. Each month I have the pleasure of introducing you and announcing the Employee of the Month for recognition of dedication, passion, and hard work supporting the residents of Freeport. The Employee of the Month goes to the Parks Department, Casey Smith.
Just for your information, I brought back from the TPO meeting, the tentative work study plan for Walton County, so you can look through that.
Thank you, Tracy. Awesome.
Before we adjourn, I just want to remind everyone we had to postpone the Christmas parade tree lighting. It is this Saturday, the 13th, beginning at 5:15. And if you get the opportunity, there is Freeport next door. It's lit up for the holidays. Any public comment? Not meetings adjourned.